Did you guys see that? Split the sea. Super gravity cannon, yo. Fucking, yo. It split the fucking sea. Not the complete sea in half, but still there was a long ass chunk that was just open because of the force of this weapon charging. The force of it charging. If you're not watching the series by now, get on this shit. Get on it. Oh, what up, people? Smith motherfucking R here today, of course, to give you guys Aoki Hagane no Arpeggio Ars Nova episode 2 motherfucking review. And I know it's somewhat late, and yes, I know my shitty ass curtains are up, mostly because of the nostalgia factor of the fact that they're always there, okay? They've been there with me through thick and thin, legit. So fuck it, they're there now. Cause fuck it, I don't feel like pulling them up. That takes too much fucking time, and this actually is a very quick review. It really is, because I'm just gonna, instead of like a summary, I'm just gonna basically explain what we saw in this episode and why this anime is being very good. It's turning out that it could be a very good anime because it's like battle, but like battleships, like like legit. I don't mean to say it like that, but yeah, like this basic episode, they were taking on this ship. I believe that was called Taiko or Taiko, like with a A, not an I. And the thing about it was, this was a heavy assault ship, and they had like mad fucking rockets, and mad torpedoes, and like fucking lasers, and like a fucking super gravity gun, like, or a super gravity beam, or cannon, yeah, super gravity cannon. And it was like this giant ass red ball was just forming above the ship, and then it just fucking fired into the ground, and like into the fucking sea. And immediately he was like, oh my god, something doesn't feel right. It's like harbor, they moved out the way by this much. And the strategy behind it, I mean, they have in no way, shape, or form. The only advantage they have is the fact that they're underwater. In that, these giant ass ships can't go underwater. That's the only real advantage that they have. Besides that, they got like torpedoes. Like low frequency torpedoes from what we've seen, and basically using that it can scramble up like I believe it can destroy missiles and also scramble up like sonar so that they can hide. And that's what they do while they assess the situation. Because if they would have got hit by that beam, it would have been over for them. And it turns out that this submarine has one other ability, or like one other weapon besides these torpedoes from what we've seen so far. And that is a super gravity cannon on its own. Basically, they somehow trapped this giant ass ship in like in between like this weird like white ocean. It was like, yo, it was crazy. And he's like, shoot underneath it, like aim underneath it. It's like, but we'll miss, just do it. And then you shoot underneath it, and this massive ass fucking beam of fucking energy just is shooting right underneath this motherfucker. And overall, this anime is just like strategy wise, it's interesting to see how this submarine is fighting all these heavily armored and heavily damaging fucking like aircraft carriers with their small ass little submarine. That's very interesting. Like they can fight these big ass ships. Like these ships ain't no joke. And they had to make a choice in the beginning because they had like decoys out, and their decoys, apparently she wasn't falling for none of these decoys. She knew what was up. Apparently, like there was some like connection or something like that, or they assumed that maybe there's another fog ship somewhere that's detecting them. And the thing about it is, we see the strategy behind it, like the planning, and they basically have like two ideas, but they go with Plan C, of course. Basically, Plan A, they can either go with this ship, through the storm, but like go into the storm like around it. But by then it'll disperse, and then they'll be in like the port that they're going to, like which is like Yoshika or some shit. And once they get to that port, they're gonna meet up with like people to do this mission that they've been given. And the thing about it is, if they do that, then they know that Taiko will be hot on their tail. And apparently, we also learned that this AI system, this combat system that controls all the fog ships, but giving them rules. Basically, it says that for some odd reason, these ships are not allowed to attack land. Yet collateral damage is, optional. Like, they can do it. Like, let's say a ship is in a harbor. Now, this heavy assault craft can not only attack the ship, but let's say a missile might accidentally hit this little neighborhood over here. Collateral damage. Many people dead. And so they can't really do that. Because by then the storm would disperse and they'll still have to deal with this fucking warship, and they would leave the possibility for, of course, casualties of the civilian nature. Or they could go around the storm. And going around the storm and going the long way. But by then, they basically assume that, well, Taiko will just basically wait for him there. And so either way, they're going to have to fight her. And then they go with Plan C, which is basically, they fight her now. They take her out, and then they go to the harbor. Because that's the best way to avoid, civilian casualties. But they're a submarine. All they got is really torpedoes in this giant-ass fucking cannon. Oh, my God, this cannon. I swear to God. The best way to describe the explosions, like from the corrosive missile and all that, is like Bleach. When Hollow Ichigo shoots a fucking Sero. That's all I fucking see. Like, every time. It's just Sero after Sero. Like, I don't mean to say like that, but I don't know. It just looks so much like it with the black and the red. And I really enjoy the explosions. Yeah, it's a little bit iffy here and there, like with the CGI, but still, it's good. I mean, the strategy aspect of this, it makes you actually think about how, like back in World War II, how submarines would actually work and operate. I mean, it was somewhat like this, except they didn't have giant-ass cannons. Of course, other ships didn't have giant-ass missiles or giant-ass cannon, but they still had mines and giant-ass fucking guns. And if you surface too soon, you're done. If they spot you, they'll shoot they'll blow your ass up underwater. They'll drop mines on your ass. Like, legit, like, you don't know, like, well, if you do know, then you know. But, like, the amount of ships that the amount of mines that these ships would carry was, like, unbelievable. Like, basically, if they felt like a submarine was under them, like sonar beep, drop the mines. Then for legit, they would just drop fucking mines off that ship just repeatedly for, like, miles or kilometers, just fucking, yeah. And as these go down, and they can also set, like, depth charges to them, like, they'll drop a motherfucking bomb down there, and it'll be like, okay, it'll detonate in, like, 10 seconds after impact in the water. And so it'll go down, like, a little bit, and then after 10 seconds, boom! And this is how they usually would fight submarines. Because submarines had torpedoes, but they had mines. And the submarine did get damaged enough, and didn't go down, and it resurfaced, fucking cannons, it's done. Or they'd capture the crew. That's what this is reminding me of. It's reminding me of that old submarine fighting aspect. Like, they have to hide and they have to be tactical because they do not have the real advantage, except for, in most cases, the fact that the enemy cannot clearly see them underwater. They can still somewhat sense them, or sonar, but they can't clearly see them. That's the only real advantage that they have. Besides that, weapon power, they're done. They don't got the weapon power to fuck with these giant-ass ships. Well, they do, but, not really directly. Because directly, they'll get wiped the fuck out. Like, it's just astounding how many missiles these ships can carry. Like, it's not even funny, but these ships carry it. I'm assuming at least hundreds of these fucking red missiles. And these red missiles apparently also, like, go into the water, and they have torpedoes too, so submarine, of course, I-401 is definitely, I own it, she's in trouble when it comes to fighting other things. But because she has a great captain, since Chihaya or Gunzou, whatever the fuck you decide to call him, I'm going to call him Gunzou, because that sounds much badass. That sounds really badass. And if he doesn't use the ship right, they're all dead. Him and his friends. And so, I'm just really enjoying that aspect of fighting. It isn't just like, yeah, I'm gonna punch your ass in the face, or yeah, I'm just gonna, blow your ass up. No, it's like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? We gotta know our number of enemies. We gotta plan the situation out. If we fuck up once, we're dead. You make one mistake as a captain, your whole crew could die. If they're lucky. Like, if they're unlucky, then they get captured, and that's not really Well, it depends. I don't know. It seems like a much nicer submarine, at least than World War II times. Oh my god. You see these submarines World War II times, oh my god. They're like so cramped and compressed and with air, and it's like just, oh. The fact that people could live in there for months on end would surprise you. It really would. And that's why I'm really digging this anime. Because it just doesn't do like just straight up like battles. No. Each battle in itself has planning and strategic means to it. Their means was this was their obstacle, and they could either avoid it and risk casualty lives and their own, or they could fight it and just possibly risk their own. And they, of course, chose the one that wouldn't put innocent civilians, since there are a lot of people apparently living near the ocean. And I'm assuming that these people are probably not of the highest caliber. They're definitely not, maybe some middle class there, but if anything, I would see maybe low class living there. Because, I mean, let's be honest. Like, that would be the cheapest house in any situation. If, yeah, being near the coast, that would be like, yo, that would be the cheapest, like, housing you could ever find. I'm betting it's like, yeah. By the way, sign this right here. What's this? Oh, basically stating that we won't be reliable if your house gets blown the fuck up. Fuck it, why not? It's pretty cheap. How much is it? $12 a month? Hell yeah! Just saying, just saying. It's probably cheap area, but still, those are human lives and casualties, and there are children there, and so they don't want to fucking fuck with that. And that's why I'm digging this anime. They think before they act. They realize that their lives are on the line, and any mistake that they make could cost them their lives. And they have so much trust in their captain, which I'm digging even more, because it shows that he has run over his comrades. His comrades will literally, they are literally leaving their lives in his hands. And it just shows that he's a good leader. It does. Even though it's only like four of his friends that are with him, it still shows that he's a good leader, because these four people are risking their lives just doing this. And if he gives a bad order, they could all die. And it just makes a series as a whole so much more insightful. That, and let's be honest, I'm digging this whole submarine thing. And if it was a giant ass ship, I would have been like, I mean, it's like, yeah, you got a giant ass ship just like everybody else. But no, they got a submarine. And so far, we haven't seen any other submarines. And so I see that as pretty nice. We've seen so far a light battleship, and we've seen a heavy battleship. Or a heavy cruiser, yeah. Light cruiser and like a heavy cruiser. And a heavy cruiser ain't shit to fuck with. Light cruiser alone has like fucking like 10 lasers on it and shit. I don't even want to try and like picture all the shit a heavy cruiser has on it, besides its incredible armor. And we also find out that the submarine can deploy decoys, which are like legit, actual other submarines that are somehow the same size as a submarine that she can control remotely. Like, she can tap into each one of these decoys and move them to, you know, help defend themselves. And so that was a good strategy. It was a good plan. And it worked out in the end. And overall, I'd give this episode right here a 9 out of 10. Yeah, it was a solid, good episode. Even though it wasn't just like crazy ass epic action the entire time, it made you actually think, and you saw the thinking process. You saw what their obstacle was and how they decided to overcome it, and what the results of their actions were, and how they decide to, if the result of their action was a negative, then they would try and turn it somewhat into a positive. And you don't see that very much with other animes. I mean, there aren't very many like war animes that go into such strategy. It's more like just fighting. And so with that being said, Smith's still motherfucking R. Ars Nova is the shit, apparently, right now. It's looking good. It's really looking good. So with that being said, peace the fuck out.